Kenya's third most preferred TV station. This is Switch TV News at 7. I am Lincoln Wambogo, sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira, and these are the top stories. Ford Kenya, ANC and Wiper parties sign a joint agreement to exit NASA. Deputy President William Ruto's supporters threatened to stage a massive nationwide strike if the persons behind his flight permit denial fail to apologize. School heads urged to keep all learners in school as the government disburses 17.47 billion shillings for the 2021 academic calendar. Glad you're watching. Send in your feedback and comments to our SMS line 111 Switch TV Kenya and at Lincoln Wambogo on all social media handles. Now, the Bishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, ACK Diocese of Murang'a South, stole the show today when he reprimanded politicians to shun politics in their speeches while denying most of them a platform. The politicians away from the burial event have now accused the president of not willing to allow a smooth transition of power in the coming general elections. Legislators Moses Kuria and Alex Wahome further heat out on those who humiliated the deputy president on his trip to Uganda. Our senior reporter Clifford Ndubi with more details.
The political succession jittery is building. For the past 24 hours, events have unfolded, and one camp of the Jubilee Party, led by the deputy president, are feeling aggrieved after the DP was barred from traveling to Uganda to handle personal matters.
Everybody can see, even children can see what kind of madarao is happening in this country.
Yesterday, the politics that are going on are politics of constraining and constricting the democratic space of this republic.
In the upcoming elections, the neck-to-neck campaign will leave the country heavily divided, not forgetting the tension that comes with it.
There are some people in this country who are not committed to a peaceful transition. And that is the whole thing you're seeing here. But I promise them it's going to be fire in this country.
You cannot stop an idea whose time has come. The time has come that political space in this country will not be the subject of an individual. And therefore, I really feel sorry and sympathize with the corner in which our president seems to have boxed himself in.
Mwaka ujao tukienda kwa kura, nyinyi viongozi wa kanisa mtuombee inji iwe na amani, tusije kupoteza maisha ya mtu yeyote au kuharibu mali au mtu yeyote kujeruhiwa kwa sababu ya siasa.
In a move to bar the politicians from misusing the podium during a burial ceremony of Nancy Muthoni Kibe, mother to businessman Joe Kibe at Kandara in Murang'a County, ODM leader Raila Odinga instead took to the stage to praise the deceased businessman.
Alikuwa ni mama ambaye alikuwa amependa watu yake.
Despite the political differences witnessed in the country, all politicians are now of the same prayer. Come 2022 general elections, there will still be peaceful coexistence. Clifford Ndubi, Switch TV.
Thank you, Clifford Ndubi. Still on matters politics, the One Kenya Alliance has rubbish reports of being NASA too after Raila Odinga hinted on joining the coalition, which they openly welcomed him to. This is after the three opposition coalition principals signed a joint formal exit from NASA. Our senior political reporter Joel Chacha with more.
After a joint parliamentary group meeting held Tuesday morning in a city hotel, the three parties that announced the intention to exit NASA coalition formally sent a joint letter to the registrar of political parties stating the official exit.
Today, each party has officially notified the registrar of political parties of their decision to leave NASA.
With ODM party leader Raila Odinga hinting on working with One Kenya Alliance, Wiper party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has dismissed that it will be a new NASA with One Kenya brand.
It cannot be NASA Part 2. On a more serious note, this is One Kenya Alliance.
We not just want to engage with any other Kenyan. We want to engage with Kenyans who have the history of supporting others. Kenyans who have the integrity to lead this country, not just any other Kenyan.
The bottom-up approach championed by Deputy President William Ruto was also strongly castigated.
we are beyond economic classes. The challenges facing Kenya are not academic. Because we are having people saying this is a model from this corner, this is a model from this corner, what is your model? Ladies and gentlemen, let's tell Kenyans the truth. One, do we have a challenge of public debt in this country? Yes. We have it, we acknowledge it, and it's eating across the economy. It's making it difficult for businesses to borrow. All tax revenues, 70% are going to repaying debt. So we know that there's a challenge of debt, so we address it. Do we have a challenge of punitive taxation on the Kenyan people? Yes,
we are here as One Kenya Alliance to give meaning to life for Kenyans.
The Alliance has announced countrywide rallies to market their coalition in the coming days, with the team currently meeting in Manzoni Lodge to forge the political roadmap to 2022. Political pundits argue that Raila still remains a factor in clinching the top seat come 2022, and it's a matter of wait and see if he will join the One Kenya Alliance. Joel Chacha, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Joel Chacha. UDA supporters have threatened to stage a massive nationwide strike if the persons behind the denial of flight permit to Deputy President William Ruto fail to apologize. The supporters further condemning the act which delayed the Deputy President's flight, indicating that it's undermining the powers of the presidency as entailed in the Constitution, Robert Ouma reports.
Governor aspirants.
The Deputy President William Ruto was yesterday forced to wait for more than 3 hours after his flight to Uganda was delayed by the state. But DP would today proceed to the neighboring country by his private means. However, following what transpired yesterday before the departure of the Deputy President at Wilson Airport, supporters of UDA party have today threatened to stage a massive strike across the country to push against the political wars targeting the Deputy President's 2032 presidential ambition.
We are condemning this act in all strongest terms possible, and we are aware who is behind all this scheme. What we want to say is very categorical. Stop harassing the Deputy President.
The National Assembly and the Senate to set a commission to investigate, because the Deputy President is not only William Ruto, it is an office, it's an institution that is anchored in our constitution.
DP supporters also claim that Ruto is a threat to his political opponents who are shaken over the numbers pulled toward the UDA by the bottom-up economic model that has become the topic of discussion countrywide.
Sisi tulimchangua kama vijana na tutamshika mkono, na come 2022 tutahakikisha ya kwamba our Deputy President is our next president of this country.
Their father called on persons behind the act to issue a public notice.
Touch any other person, touch CSs, but not the Deputy President.
If these frustrations continue, we shall call masses out for protests, and we shall not even keep in mind about Corona. We shall just be forced to get out and fight for our rights.
With only 12 months before the 2022 general elections, supporters allied to the Deputy President UDA party insist that the war against Deputy President will not at any way deter the mission, vision or the victory come 2022. Robert Ouma, Switch TV in Nairobi.
Thank you, Robert Ouma. Political parties with less representation in Parliament and Senate could benefit under a proposed amendment that would edge out the big political parties from exclusive control of the billions of parties fund. The Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 seeks to remove the stringent funding eligibility threshold that has seen majority of parties miss out on the money. Scott Marioki with more on the story.
The bill seeks to change the way in which the political parties fund is distributed. Currently, parties are required to have had 3% of the total number of votes cast in an election as a first step, as well as 40 members of the county assembly, 3 senators, 3 governors, and 20 members of parliament to qualify for the fund. Communist Party of Kenya Secretary General Benedict Washira states that they are in full support of the amendment, since the current bill's requirement has left majority of parties without any funding.
From the idea of having 20 MPs, 3 senators, 3 governors, and 40 MCAs. So as much as that is concerned, we think as the Communist Party and other political parties also which are not receiving funding, we think that that is a progressive thing.
Political parties will also be required to meet the 2/3 gender rule and have special interest groups among office bearers to qualify for the fund. This condition exists in the current Political Parties Act, although not many parties have adhered to it, bringing into question the implementation of the laws, according to political analyst Nordin Kagai.
Political Parties Act as it is as well, it says that any political party that doesn't observe the 2/3 gender in its officials. You see, a political party has officials. Now, if its officials, for example, don't meet the requirement, then the same political party should not be funded. Now, is that observed? Highly unlikely, you see.
The current Political Parties Act also requires parties to have offices in 24 counties around the country in order to be eligible for funding, which the amendment also seeks to change. This is a turn in the right direction, according to Communities Party Secretary General Benedict Washiro.
Political Parties Act requires political parties to have at least 24 offices in 24 counties, fully run offices. And you know, these offices, you require rent, you require workers, you require stationery. There's a lot of things that goes in there.
The Political Parties Amendment Bill is being sponsored by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee amidst a time when the founding parties of the National Super Alliance are in dispute over the distribution of the allocation of the fund. Funding for political parties, which has over the years favored bigger parties with more representation, might soon change, with smaller parties set to benefit from this new amendment. Reporting for Switch TV News in Nairobi, I am Scott Morioki.
Thank you, Scott Morioki. Meanwhile, 17.47 billion shillings have been disbursed by the government for the 2021 academic calendar. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George MAGOHA stated that the money will cater for learners both in primary and secondary schools, further urging school heads to keep all learners in school. Shilling-a-Teach reports.
As the Form 1 students continue to report to various schools countrywide, Cabinet Secretary George MAGOHA has asked school heads to keep all students in school for them to complete their syllabus in time and not be left out. The CS announced the release of 17.47 billion shillings, of which 2.62 billion will cater for primary school learners and 14.85 billion for secondary school learners. MAGOHA also asking for strict adherence of the school fee guidelines issued by the ministry based on the 30-week school calendar. At the same time, urging parents to ensure that all students report to their respective schools. Shilling-a-Teach, Switch TV.
Well, that story by Shilling-a-Teach takes us to a short commercial break. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. The Ministry of Tourism says Kenya expects to receive over 300,000 foreigners for the next 6 months that are potentially expected to boost the tourism and hospitality sector, which has been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Hadia Mosiwe has more.
After more than a year of a financially ailing tourism sector, Kenya has received over 100,000 tourists, bringing hope to the deteriorated economy. The Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality, which was taken a step back by the pandemic, seems to be getting back on its feet, with Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala announcing an increase in international travel into the country.
International business is already trickling into the country, particularly the American market. When you ask for Masai Mara, it's quite busy. I was in the coast recently, also is busy. Both international and local tourism. But I want to appreciate local tourism has done very well.
More countries have made an effort to vaccinate its population in a bid to open up their economies as international flights start to reopen. The Kenyan tourism sector aims to strategically position itself ready for the international market. With a 3 billion economic stimulus package, Balala says things will soon be back to normal in the tourism industry.
Particularly the countries that have vaccinated their people are the ones going to move faster to come in. So we need to target those countries, and those are 3 major countries. Mainly is USA, UK, and China. These are countries that have done major vaccination for their population, and those are the people who will be moving out sooner than the others. That's why we want to be sure that even Kenya, they get the vaccines and they be vaccinated so that when visitors come in, we will be safer.
With the new Delta variant spreading on an alarming rate, the government has plans underway to increase mass vaccination in order to curb the spread of the pandemic. Reporting for Switch TV, I'm Hadia Mwasiwa.
Thank you, Hadia Mosiwe. Drama ensued at MUGOIRI Secondary School today as Rachel Amugola, a parent, broke down lamenting that the principal denied her daughter admission at the school. Susan Mundia, the school principal, however, dismissed the allegations, promising to protect the said girl and ensure safety of the child as she joins MUGOIRI Girls School.
Jana wakati nilitoka hapa ikielekea saa 2:30. Niliweza kufika Nairobi ikielekea saa 5. Hatukulala kwa sababu ya stress ile mtoto alikuwa nayo. Niliamkia Jogoo House, na wakati nilifika Jogoo House niliweza kufika kwa ofisi ya deputy director. Nikiwa kwa process ninamuelezea ni nini kimenifikisha kwa ofisi yake. Kuna mzee akaingia hapo na index number ya mtoto wangu, akasema there is a case that we were given from MUGOIRI Girls High School, ya kwamba kuna mtoto nafasi yake ya huko inapotea, amewekwa Wambasa. Kwa sababu wakati nimeenda kwa Jogoo House wameniambia kwa system kuna mtu ambaye ameenda kuchange nafasi ya mtoto, anamtupa kwa local school in Siaya County na anaitwa Florence Achola, mtu ambaye mimi simujui. Challenges ambazo zimeonekana zote kwa media, hata mimi kutoa machozi. Nimekuwa nikitoa machozi kwa sababu ya kutafuta haki ya mtoto wangu.
I want to ask my team to just be understanding, and we help the girl like any other girl, and I wish that the ministry is also is a little bit more careful so that we don't find ourselves in similar scenarios in future. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Delta variant that is more contagious is now making up a larger percentage of COVID-19 cases, with 1,085 new infections, 25 deaths and 43 recoveries. The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers has warned that in the coming weeks, hospital beds will be filled to capacity, hindering services even for the treatment of other diseases, begging the question, is there more we can do to curb the spread of COVID-19? Harad Chime reports.
As Kenya grapples with the COVID-19 Delta variant, it is now clear that no one is safe from it.
In the next 1 to 2 weeks, you will not be able to get a bed, not even for ICU, even a normal bed where you only require oxygen around the metropolis of Nairobi. We are seeing a very different picture this time round. We are seeing even young people actually going into severe and critical and requiring hospitalization, and even ventilation. The Delta variant is not a respecter of your age, of your state of health, or of whether you are vaccinated or not.
June this year, the Kenya Medical Research Institute warned of an imminent fourth wave, with the healthcare service demanding an increase in capacity. However, much is still yet to be done.
I found out, like in Nakuru PGH, a single clinic officer attending to 130 to 150 patients in a day. According to World Health Organization, you cannot be able, in a period of 8 hours, to see more than 35 patients. So that means by the time we are getting to your 40th, 50th patient, you're actually not treating these people. You're just clearing and forwarding. And this is not a mistake from us as the health workers. If you have a shortage of healthcare workers, there are consequences.
And as the whole health system continues to show resilience, the chairperson of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, Peterson Washira, says it is now an individual responsibility to curb the spread of COVID-19. As the country braces for a fourth COVID-19 wave, the big concern is how Kenya will fare this time round. And as the saying goes, the ball is on your court. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Harriet Chimea.
Indeed, the ball is on my court and your court. Keep on keeping on and adhering to the COVID-19 regulations. Kenyans have been reluctant in remitting their monthly payments for the National Hospital and Insurance Fund (NHIF). According to NHIF CEO Peter Kemunyo, 5.7 million accounts have been declared dormant after the insured failed to fund the national insurer. However, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Secretary General now says that the government must build trust among Kenyans on NHIF. Here's Rachel Duarte with his story.
The government continues to promise Kenyans on the achievement of the universal health coverage in its Big Four agenda, where with the NHIF funds, Kenya can access medical healthcare services. However, many Kenyans continue to endure challenges of accessing health care.
Kwa maoni yangu hii NHIF sioni kama imesaidia wa Kenya. Kwa maana hata mimi niko nayo tangu nichukue, nimeitumia mara moja na haikunisaidia. Ile mahitaji, ile shida nilikuwa nayo ilinisaidia tu kuchukua dawa, lakini matibabu walikataa.
Somehow in a way kuna a lot yenye it's not helping, like let's say right now, like mambo na corona etc, it's not helping a lot of Kenyans because I signed with any bill at all.
Mimi naona isaidi.
Kwa nini?
Kwa maana mwananchi kwa kawaida anaweza kuoncheka na ile hospitali unapelekwa ni ile ambayo unapewa panado ama ile dawa unaenda unaandikiwa ndio ununue.
According to the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Secretary General, many Kenyans do not trust the NHIF firm, saying it is costly and complicated to understand. The union now says that in order for NHIF to regain trust from Kenyans, the government must allocate adequate resources and ensure that there is zero discrimination on offering health services.
Today, when you appear to us and preach to us about NHIF, people feel excited and they start paying. But when they turn to get services, they find they are disappointed. They are actually paying more than what you can be able to pay for them. So they retract and actually withdraw from NHIF.
With the current medical crisis in the country, many have raised concerns of the inability to access healthcare services in various hospitals across the country. In order to achieve universal health coverage, the government should implement measures and create an enabling environment to eradicate poor health services and understaffing by the medical health personnel. Rachel Ndwati.
Business Desk. Geothermal Development Company has penned a partnership with Baringo County government aimed at providing energy to the county as well as strengthening the education sector that has not been prioritized in the county due to inadequate infrastructure. Baringo County currently has 739 primary schools and 226 secondary schools. According to data from the county government, 188 primary schools are yet to be connected to electricity. Floral Muki narrates.
This partnership between Geothermal Development Company and Baringo County will provide cheap energy as well as empower residents by providing jobs in an effort to spur economic growth in the county. Baringo County Governor Stanley Kiptis has emphasized on the importance of this project to the education sector.
The 14 collaborative areas that we have actually indicated, they are 14 in number. When you look onto them, they are really going to address the socio-economic aspect. And that's why you see that they're coming up with construction of schools. Construction of schools. Baringo, we have closer to 739 primary schools and 226 secondary schools. In Tiate, there are 139 primary schools, and there are less than 20 secondary schools. So that hampers what we call access. So the support in development of education in our region is going to be a game changer, because if you change the mindset, then the person will actually maybe be in a position or looking onto other ways of getting an income.
The Baringo Silali geothermal project is estimated to potentially generate 3,000 megawatts, covering 3 prospect areas, that is Paka, Korosi and Silali, by 2030. GDC further aims at promoting direct use of energy in agriculture, industrialization and tourism to impact the local community and improve their livelihood and subsequently create wealth.
By signing this agreement, GDC aims to promote and market geothermal direct use of energy in agriculture, industrialization, tourism, to impact the local community, improve their livelihood, and subsequently create wealth.
This merger will in return benefit the education, health, energy and irrigation sectors in Baringo County, with access to education being the main focus.
We're only interested in two. One is, one says one money. Tax, yes, and also employment of our people. I think that is our major area, with our employment of our people.
This merger between the Geothermal Development Company and Baringo County aims at providing affordable energy as well as creating employment to the residents. Flora Limuki, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Flora Limuki. Elsewhere, Narok Governor Samuel Oletunai has warned tour companies that violate game rules of the famous Masai Mara Game Reserve of dire consequences. The tour company that had foreign tourists who took a close video of a cab violated the game rule that requires a minimum of at least 100 meters to the wildlife being observed. The county boss said they have already banned the tour company from operating in the Mara during this high peak season, when tourists flock to witness the spectacle crossing of wildebeests from the Serengeti in Tanzania to the Masai Mara.
We have seen that there are few, but very few, of the tourists who are flouting our rules, like the one we have seen yesterday. But we have taken action. We have actually banned that group from visiting the game reserve.
Now, shifting gears to the world of sports, Kenya has been one of the most successful African countries in the history of Olympics. However, Kenya is yet to clinch a gold medal at the